I was out cold for a full day, forced to miss the signing ceremony. I didn't just lose the investment deal, my reputation, built over years, was shot to hell. My assistant, Kevin Asher, seized the opportunity, became an overnight industry darling, and was suddenly raking in a 7-figure salary. I confronted my fiancée, Sophia, but she was utterly unconcerned. You, Ray, so capable, Ethan. What's the big deal giving him one project? If you hadn't been so damp Eddie and kept refusing, she added, would I have had to go to the trouble of drugging you? She was right. I am that capable. I keep banging my head against this particular brick wall. I gave up the project in the woman. Suddenly, she was the one panicking when I got to the office. Sophia Hayes and Kevin Asher were popping champagne with the crowd, celebrating. Many of my team members, people I'd ground with for years, sat silently in a corner, their faces etched with resentment and frustration. Mr. Miller, one of them finally burst out, his voice tight. You nearly killed yourself for this project over the last year. You were in and out of the hospital 5 or 6 times, and at the last minute, Kevin Asher of it? Then he tells him that says you wanted to tank the deal? He totally threw you under the bus. Everyone knows your skills and integrity. 80% of this company's profitable projects came from your connections. Others might not know, but Miss Hayes certainly does, didn't she? She say anything to defend you. His voice grew louder, drawing attention. Sophia's gaze finally shifted from Kevin's face to mine, her expression hardening. You disappeared without a word, she said coolly. Kevin stepped up, saved the deal, and got the contract signed. Instead of being grateful, you're here stirring up your old team and trying to ruin the celebration. Does this company only function if you're the one signing deals? Is no one else qualified? You really think too highly of yourself. Ethan, not a hint of guilt in her voice. When the company was just starting, it was only the 2 of us. I wore all the hats: admin, doctor, sales, you name it. I even took care of her personal life. Time and again, when I brought in huge projects, new investors, she'd wrap her arms around my neck. Hurrying, this company would be nothing without you. Ethan, let me make it big. You'll be my star partner, and no one will ever mess with you. But now, not only had she backstabbed me for another man, but she was publicly mocking me for having an ego. The looks from the crowd were a mixture of pity and morbid curiosity. They probably expected me to lose it, to start a massive scene. After all, this wasn't the first time Sophia had handed one of my merely completed projects to Kevin. Each time, I'd fought tooth and nail. It was less about the project and more about fighting for Sophia's heart, which had clearly strayed. The worst fight led to me threatening to quit, but in the end, I couldn't bring myself to leave. I backed down, but all my devotion had earned me was hurt, rampling my dignity. Even more brazenly, this particular project meant the world to me. Suddenly, I didn't want to fight anymore. Miss Hayes is right, I said, in my voice even. I'm resigning. I went to my office, printed out my resignation letter, signed it, and handed it to her. When she read it, the arrogance on her face froze. She crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it at me. Fine, Ethan. Go all out with your little drama. Let's see how long this tough guy act lasts. I calmly started packing my personal belongings into a box. It doesn't matter if you won't sign it, Miss Hayes. Per my contract, I'll be gone in 30 days. Anyway, ignoring her stunned expression, I turned and walked out. Back in my apartment, I organized and archived all the projects I'd handled over the years, then sent the files to an overseas contact. Moments later, my phone rang. Mr. Miller, a voice said. You really didn't need to send the files. The projects you've developed over the years are all unicorns in their respective fields, valued at over $1 billion each. Your name is already legendary among Wall Street's top VC firms. But the last time we spoke, the voice continued, you declined all offers, saying your wedding was just around the corner. Staring out the window at the city lights, a bitter smile touched my lips. The wedding's off. Please connect me with interested firms as soon as possible. Connect you with what firms? Weren't you just throwing a tantrum about quitting? Now you're desperate for a new project to impress me. Sophia pushed open my apartment door, kicked off her heels, and scoffed. I didn't respond normally. She'd fly off the handle about my attitude, but this time she visibly suppressed her anger. You wanted to use the AI project to digitize human memories, developing companion robots with the memories of loved ones, but Kevin suggested focusing on the gaming industry. I think the profits will be higher. I wasn't playing favorites. She paused, a flicker of something like pain in her eyes. I know your mother's death hit you hard, but she's gone. Even the person you're supposed to spend your life with is me. Stop being so stubborn. She knew exactly what this project meant to me, and still she chose to betray me in the most extreme way. I nodded, slight leeway. Right, the person you choose to spend your life with should indeed be chosen carefully. She, however, thought I was caving again. A smile spread across her face as she walked into the bathroom. Sophia's phone buzzed incessantly. I glanced at the caller ID, Mr. Larsson, a CEO we'd worked with before, and picked it up after a few hellos from my end. The line went silent for a few seconds. Then, the caller hung up abruptly. Mr. Larsson called, I said, handing the phone to Sophia as she emerged, telling her hair. You didn't say anything specific, did you? I mean, was it urgent? Just some more stuff, she said vaguely, and grabbed her car keys. This Mr. Larsson is so demanding. Says there's another sudden issue with the project. I have to go deal with it. Even if I'd been slow on the uptake before, something felt seriously wrong now. I quietly tailed her car. The route became increasingly familiar. Finally stopping at the entrance to the community where our marital home, the house we bought together, was located. Dee never shown any interest in the renovations, nor did she know I'd installed security cameras. I pulled up the feed on my phone. My stomach dropped. Kevin Asher had his hands on her waist, giving her a playful squeeze. You drugged Ethan Miller to help me snag his project, or NT you gonna go home and smooth things over with him tonight? Sophia leaned against the kitchen counter, her tone light and dismissive. Dee never leave me. This company is his baby. Besides, she continued, not long after we started dating, I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. My own parents gave up on me. Had he borrowed millions, took me to every specialist he could find. He worked 4 jobs a day, lived on cheap ramen and tap water, slept on the floor in hospital hallways at night. He loves me more than life itself. Even if he walked in and saw us together right now, he'd just grit his teeth and swallow it. Kevin's mocking laughter grated in my ears. I smashed my fist into my phone screen. Sharp fragments of glass and metal dug into my fingers, blood welling. But it did nothing to dull the crushing ache in my chest. Sophia had changed Kevin's contact name in her phone to Mr. Larsson for the past 6 months. She'd used Mr. Larsson as an excuse for late nights at the office, sudden business trips. I'd always assumed Mr. Larsson was the female executive we previously partnered with, so I never suspected a thing. All the resentment and confusion I'd felt now had an answer. She had completely betrayed me. That's why she was always making excuses to train the new guy, handing my resources to the utterly incompetent Kevin, even resorting to drugging me with sleeping pills when I repeatedly refused. I smoked an entire pack of cigarettes and still couldn't figure out where I'd gone so wrong. Grinding the butt under my heel, I looked up. Sophia stood before me, panic in her eyes, her throat seemingly constricted. Unable to utter a word, it was Kevin standing beside her who broke the silence with a smug, insincere smile. Sophia helped me in a huge project today. A guy's got to show his gratitude, right? She said. A pipe bursting in your house tonight. Asked me to come take a look. Don't get any wrong ideas, Mr. Miller. He deliberately emphasized the word project. His arrogance was blatant. The subtext was clear. I snap my fingers in your fiancé steals your deal for me. Then I get to sleep with her in the house you bought together. Sophia grew more flustered, tugging at Kevin's sleeve, silently urging him to shut up. She forced a smile, stammering, I finished up with Mr. Larsson, and then building management called about a burst pipe. I figured you were in a bad mood today. so I asked Kevin to her face was a mask of disbelief. After a long moment of tense silence, she finally asked, her voice trembling, "Ethan, I'm here with Kevin in the middle of the night, and you're not angry?" Before, I'd seen Kevin merely brush her waist, and I'd flown into a rage, nearly breaking his hand in the ensuing fight now. The thought just made me feel like I dirtied my own hands. My voice was calm. "He came all this way to help you so late. I'm very grateful to him, grateful that he'd finally extinguished the last ember of love I had for you." Anger flared in Sophia's eyes. She bit her lip, silent, then spoke again. "We're known testing Kevin's side a big deal as his boss. I'm taking him on a celebratory vacation for a few days. I assume you won't mind." I nodded slightly, or should fine. "Ethan Miller, let's see how long you can keep up this act." She was shaking with rage, and she shoved me hard. My hand slammed against the car door, the metal shard still embedded in my skin, piercing deeper. I let out a muffled grunt of pain. She was only holding back from a full-blown confrontation because I was a founding partner, and she didn't want to openly burn that bridge. Now that I was willingly stepping aside, why was she angrier? Her thoughts no longer mattered to me. A recruiter quickly placed me with a top-tier Wall Street venture capital firm. This company was a powerhouse. Many employees held founder shares in giants like Google and Microsoft, earning them millions in dividends annually, even if they didn't lift a finger looking through their past investments. I couldn't help but regret all the life-changing opportunities I'd missed by prioritizing Sophia. Fortunately, it wasn't too late as I was booking my flight to the U.S. Sophia, who rarely updated her social media, posted several videos in an ocean view suites. He who had never cooked for me was wearing an apron. Stirring a simple broth, Kevin was drunk, puking everywhere. She showed no disgust, patiently wiping him clean, helping him sit up, and tenderly feeding him the broth, her eyes filled with a softness I'd never seen directed at me. When I used to run projects, I often had unavoidable work dinners that involved heavy drinking. Every time I came home drunk, she'd look at me without a revulsion. "Slam the bedroom door shut, get out. You're disgusting," and leave me to pass out on the cold floor. Even if I woke up the next day with a high fever, weakened, aching, she wouldn't even pour me a glass of water. A bitter laugh escaped me. "Ethan, you should have woken up a long time ago." I was about to swipe off the screen when I accidentally liked one of her posts, not wanting any unnecessary drama. Immediately I liked it, and while I was at it, unkind heard it from the top of my message. The next second, Sophia called, her voice dripping with unconcealed triumph. "Weren't you playing the magnanimous one earlier? Turns out you're still secretly stalking my updates. Seeing me take care of another man, you must be green with jealousy. About to lose your mind, right?" Hey, old me, fiercely possessive of her, would have been, but now I felt nothing but calm. I had a mountain of project files to sort through and no time for such childish games. I was about to bring up canceling the wedding when she cut me off impatiently. "All right. I know you've been looking forward to the wedding. You put a lot of effort into it these past few months. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., I'm giving you a chance to pick me up at the airport. We can go for the wedding dress fitting afterward." Before I could answer, the line went dead. 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon was precisely when my flight to the States was scheduled to depart. The next morning, after packing my bags, I took one last look at the home I poured years of my life into, and gently closed the door. A black Maybach was parked by the curb. A young woman, as graceful as a deer, waved at me, her smile revealing charmingly asymmetrical dimples. "Mr. Miller, I'm Amy Sweetwater, the assistant assigned to you by our corp. I'll be accompanying you to the U.S. I've carefully reviewed your profile," she continued, "and I'm particularly interested in your companion robot concept. If it can truly be developed, it could offer solace to so many people who have lost loved ones. Your project in this country was unfortunately halted, but I've already started reaching out to tech companies in the States on your behalf. I was genuinely touched. A complete stranger could empathize with my vision. While Sophia, the woman I'd spent years with, had personally destroyed it, Mr. Miller, Amy added. Some of the investors you've worked with, upon hearing you were leaving, contacted me privately. They mentioned wanting to withdraw their funding from your ex-fund, ease current ventures and explore overseas markets instead. When I didn't respond, she pressed her lips together and said no more. At the airport, Amy went ahead to handle the check-in procedures, while I stood in a quiet corner smoking not far off. Sophia had her arms wrapped around Kevin's neck, kissing him passionately. Sophia, honey, Kevin murmured, loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. We burned through 8 boxes of those strawberry things. You like so much this trip. When we get back to the office, you'd better secure me a few more big projects to make up for all that effort. Sophia playfully swatted his arm. When Deefing gets here, don't you dare say stupid stuff like you did that night. The wedding's right around the corner. I don't want any trouble, so don't come bothering me at night for a while. She then glanced around a little distractedly, as if searching for me. Had intended to leave quietly, but Amy hurried back, holding a few documents. Mr. Miller, all set. Sophia heard her and looked in my direction. A flash of panic crossed her eyes, quickly replaced by composure as her face hardened. What took you so long? Do you know how long I've been waiting? Even a simple task like picking me up. You managed to piss me off. She frowned, her gaze shifting suspiciously to my assistant. Who is this woman? She looked annoyed, about to say more, when suddenly a car careened out of control, heading straight for the crowd. People screamed, scattering in panic on pure instinct. I grabbed Amy and pulled her towards safety. Are you okay? I asked Amy once we were clear. Mr. Miller, but Miss Hayes seems to be crying. Sophia crying? Impossible in all these years. Apart from when the pain of her cancer became unbearable, I'd hardly ever seen her shed a tear. I turned. She wasn't injured. There wasn't even a speck of dust on her. She was staring at me, her face contorted with fury, tears streaming down like broken pearls. Ethan Miller, that car was coming right for us. And you protected some irrelevant assistant. You didn't care if I lived or died? Are you insane? And I didn't answer. She completely lost it. Always so cool and reserved in public, she now disregarded the stares of onlookers, screaming at me hysterically. Are you mute? Say something. Who the hell is this woman? On what grounds did you hire a female assistant without my permission? We're about to get married. How could you be so inappropriate with a female employee? Have you even considered my feelings? Now fire her immediately. Tell her to get lost. Otherwise I'm canceling the wedding, and I'll never forgive you. So it's only when a needle pricks your own skin that you realize how much it hurts. I too had once been hysterical like this, upset about her crossing lines with Kevin. He always dismissed me with a contemptuous, I can't be bothered with this if you can't handle it. Let's break up. But I could never bear to. I was always the first to back down, to coax and plead, even to kneel and beg her not to leave. My brief silence now must have made her think I was scared again. Her demeanor gradually calmed, her eyes regaining their usual arrogance, certain I would cave, retreat, and beg as before. I know marrying me has been your dream for 7 years. You spent a whole year planning this wedding. As long as you fire her right now, I can consider. Not before she could finish. I cut her off coldly. No. I agree. Let us cancel the wedding. She froze, staring at me as if I were a stranger. It wasn't until the piercing wail of sirens from police cars and an ambulance cut through the air that she seemed to snap back, her voice a faint whisper, as if uttering the words drained all her strength. Ethan Miller. I said cancel the wedding. Canceling the wedding means breaking up. You want to break up with me? I passively fiddled with my watch, my voice soft but my gaze firm. Yes. Break up. Sophia remained rooted to the spot, tears flowing silently, but more profusely beside her. However, a flicker of delight crossed Devin's face. He tried to comfort Sophia, but she violently slapped his outstretched hand away. "Get lost." This was the first time I'd ever seen Sophia treat Kevin with such coldness in my presence. Clearly, Kevin was equally taken aback. His hand hovering awkwardly in mid-air, Sophia took a few deep breaths, her tone moderating. "You go back to the office first." Kevin shot me a resentful glare before reluctantly walking away. Looking back every few steps, "Ethan, let's talk. Maybe there's some misunderstanding." A misunderstanding? Perhaps in her eyes. No matter what she did, I was supposed to remain the man who loved her to death when she was terminally ill. I'd unhesitatingly shouldered massive debt, as Crimpton saved, worked multiple jobs, so stressed that even in my dreams I was being chased by creditors, cornered in alleys, and beaten up. But back then, I didn't feel any bitterness. As long as she could live, I would have willingly given my own life. Later, she recovered and promised she'd never betray me. We started our business together, building it from a two-person studio into a company with hundreds of employees. The hardships during that time were immense, but most of the time I couldn't bear to see her suffer, so I handled most of the dirty, tiring work. I was out pounding the pavement every day when I had no reputation. People looked down on me, slammed doors in my face in the freezing winter and scorching summer, sneering, "Does any Tom, Dick, or I think they can just book a meal with our boss. Take a look in the mirror before you waste our time. Get lost." But every night, when I came home and she dropped her arms around my neck, cooing about our future, I felt it was all worth it. But what did loving someone so wholeheartedly get me? It got me her fooling around with another man while still being able to mock me to my face for being a fool who'd give her everything. It got me her, knowing full well how devastated I was by my mother's accidental death, how I struggled to move on, how all my hopes were pinned on that one project. And still, to please Kevin, she resorted to such despicable tactics, forcing me to lose the project that was on the verge of success, personally shattering my hopes. What was even more laughable was that, after doing all this, she actually thought our relationship reaching this point was all just a misunderstanding. "Ethan, are you listening to me? Can we find a place to talk properly first?" I was a bit emotional just now, but that's because I was jealous. No woman can watch the man she loves choose another woman in a life or death moment and just act like nothing happened. When I didn't respond for a long time, Sophia anxiously stepped forward and grabbed my arm. I let out a cold laugh. It had been a long time since I'd heard Sophia so openly express her concern for me. Most of the time, her attitude wavered between me and Kevin, leaving me completely insecure in this relationship. I doubted myself, been jealous of others to the point of frantic questioning. Thinking about it now, I just felt utterly fed up there. That's nothing to talk about. Sophia, we were completely finished. No one is stupid enough to keep pouring everything into a one-sided relationship endlessly without any reciprocation. "A one-sided relationship?" Sophia murmured, her expression blank. Suddenly, she seemed to realize something. Her fair face slowly flushed crimson, her eyes filled with guilt. "I don't want to spell it out. The breakup between adults should be dignified for both our sakes." "Excuse me, Mr. Miller," Amy, my assistant, reminded me softly from the side. "Looking troubled. The plane is about to take off. We should get going." "Take off? Ethan, where are you going? Weren't you here to pick me up?" Sophia jolted as if awakened, questioning me repeatedly. I didn't want to get further entangled with her without responding. I turned and started walking away with Amy, not looking back, but she relentlessly pursued me, grabbing my wrist in a death grip. "Where on earth are you going? We're about to get married," and her suspicious, "Well, I guess started constantly over Amy." Suddenly, comprehension dawned, and her voice shot up several octaves. "Ethan Miller, you cheated on me. You're breaking up with me for this woman and you're leaving with her? No, that's not right. You couldn't have changed your mind about me. It must be this shameless woman who seduced you, right? She suddenly lunged at Amy like a madwoman, grabbing her hair and slapping her hard across the face. How dare you seduce my boyfriend? Who do you think you are? Amy had grown up overseas from a wealthy family and had never encountered such a situation. For a moment, she was too stunned to even react. Sophia, are you insane? Let her go now. The moment I saw Amy get hit, all the blood rushed to my head enraged. I shoved Sophia away and pulled Amy behind me. Amy's hair was disheveled. Her fair skin was red and swollen, and two bloody scratches from sharp nails marred her cheek. She looked dazed, as if she hadn't yet processed what had happened. Only when she heard my concerned voice did she burst into tears. Ethan Miller, do you hit me for this woman? And you still say there's nothing between you two? You did this on purpose, didn't you? Just because I took Kevin on a trip for a few days, you found some random woman to get back at me, to provoke me into backing down and begging for your forgiveness, didn't you? Sophia shrieked, having stumbled to the ground, clutching her scraped elbow, tears streaming down her face. The upright security guards rushed over, pulling us into a room for questioning and mediation. After all the kerosene, we'd missed our flight. I had no choice but to explain the situation to our Corbin requested a delayed start date. Fortunately, Amy Sweetwater was very understanding. She didn't make me reveal the whole truth, saying it would reflect badly on me. Instead, she suggested I tell them she'd suddenly fallen ill, hence the travel delay. Amy, thank you, I said gratefully, taking her to the hospital. You've been put through so much because of me, and you still helped me out of that mess. Her wounds needed immediate attention. It would be terrible if they scarred it. That's all right. Mr. Miller, I reviewed your past record, and I trust your character. This wasn't entirely your fault from my end. The police's questioning records. Sophia probably gathered that I was planning to move to the U.S. for working that Amy was genuinely just my new assistant. She became unusually silent, clearly aware she was in the wrong and didn't dare say much more, just quietly followed me. Even when I refused her offer to accompany us to the hospital, she still drove her car behind mine, standing outside the clinic room with a complicated expression, lost in thought. When she returned, she was carrying some pastries popular with women, offering them to Amy as an apology. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive earlier. I didn't get the facts straight before I hurt you as women. I believe you can understand. My boyfriend and I are getting married in a few days, and you're welcome to come. Hearing that last sentence, I genuinely doubted my ears. After everything that had happened, she still thought our wedding could proceed as planned? Impatiently, I pressed my fingers to my temples and cut her off bluntly. Sophia, are you incapable of understanding plain English? We've broken up. What wedding are you talking about? You heard me earlier. I'm moving to the U.S. to start a new job. From now on, we go our separate ways. Can you please stop clinging to me like a damn leech? In all our years together, this was the first time I'd spoken to Sophia so harshly. No matter how angry I'd been in the past, I'd always left her some dignity, never resorting to cruel words. After all, if I so much as raised my voice, she'd furiously demand if I'd stop loving her, why I was being so mean. Over time, I'd grown accustomed to treading carefully around her, speaking softly. But now, Sophia acted as if she hadn't heard the words. He put on a smile, her tone weak. I'm all right. Ethan, I know you're still jealous about me going on that trip with Kevin, and angry about the project thing. I was wrong, okay? I've apologized. Let us just put it behind us. The custom wedding dress and suit have arrived. Let's go try them on. Worried she'd have another emotional outburst and cause more trouble, I reluctantly agreed to leave with her for the time being. I knew you wouldn't stay truly angry with me. She chirped all the way there. She drove and chattered incessantly about our past, I hadn't seen her this talkative, this eager to share. In a very long time. Usually, I was the one rambling, sending countless photos and videos, enthusiastically planning outings, but every time I eagerly presented my plans to her, she wouldn't even spare them a glance. Boring. Don't bother me. That's too childish. Can't you act your age? Instead of wasting time on useless things, you should be thinking about how to make more money for the company, or it would be long stretches of silence, to the point where our chat history often felt like a one-way street. Messages I sent in the morning would either be answered late at night, or perhaps the next day when she needed something from me with a perfunctory few words, or simply ignored. Thinking of this, I ignored her frequent pleading glances and just stared out the car window. Even when she stood before me, surrounded by store assistants, wearing a voluminous, pristine white wedding gown, I felt nothing she'd been right before for 7 years. I had indeed dreamed of marrying her. I'd imagined her as my bride countless times, fantasized about the moment she put on her wedding dress, but now all I felt was an endless, profound disgust. The memory of her and Kevin together that night made me want to gauge then. Are you okay? I'll take you home to rest, she said, her expression anxious as she quickly changed out of the wedding dress and rushed to take me home. Perhaps it was the recent series of upheavals combined with the stress of starting a new job. But when I got home, I started running a low fever. Sophia bustled around, helping me change into pajamas, and even cooked a large meal of all my favorite dishes, presenting them to me solicitously, trying to mend our fractured relationship. After all, this was the first time she had ever personally taken care of me, but it was too late. I gently pushed away the food she offered, my voice I scolded. Sophia, you don't have to do this. How many more times do I have to say it? Oh, we are completely, irrevocably over. She froze, her head bowed, thick lashes hiding the emotion in her eyes. Her shoulders trembling slightly. Soft sobs echoed in the deathly quiet room. After a long standoff, receiving no comfort from me, she suddenly slammed the plate of food onto the floor, her eyes bloodshot as she roared at me. What more do you want? Do you want me to kneel down and beg you? Why can't we just part amicably? Why you have to be so damn persistent, dragging this out and making it ugly for everyone? Sophia, I said, my voice devoid of warmth. You don't love me. You acting like this simply because you're not used to it. The person who always coddled you has suddenly changed, stopped putting you on a pedestal. That's all. She stopped crying, looking at me blankly, mulling over my words. After a long pause, she shook her head gently. No, it's not like that. I know maybe after Kevin joined the company I spent a lot of time training him and neglected your feelings, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. After all, she continued, her voice earnest, no one in this world has ever been better to me than you. When I was terminally ill, even my own parents abandoned me. You were the one who stayed by my side, never giving up, enduring so much hardship to pay off those debts. Then you helped me build this company from scratch. To be honest, this company is basically yours. I hardly did anything. Even if I gave the project to Kevin, as long as it makes money, it ultimately ends up in your pocket anyway. Why do you have to keep harping on this one thing and say I don't love you? A cold laugh escaped me, so she remembered every single detail. Yet she still chose to stab me in the back. And even now she arrogantly believed she'd done nothing wrong. The only reason she was clinging on was that she couldn't find another obedient doormat to be her free caretaker and moneymaker. I didn't want to waste any more words on her. I pulled up the security footage from that night and pressed my phone in her face. The vile sounds filled the room. He'd never leave me. This company is his baby. Besides, not long after we started dating, I was diagnosed with stomach cancer. My own parents gave up on me, but he borrowed millions, took me to every specialist he could find. He worked for jobs a day, lived on cheap ramen and tap water, slept on the floor in hospital hallways at night. He loves me more than life itself. Even if he walked in on us together right now, he'd just grit his teeth and swallow it. Sophia's face turned deathly pale. Panicked, she snatched the phone and smashed it violently onto the floor. As if that could erase what happened, she dropped to her knees before me with a thud, slapping herself hard across the face. Twice her fair cheeks instantly turned red and swollen. The slaps seemed to come faster than any words of defense for a moment. She didn't know what to say, just clutched her face in agony, endlessly murmuring apologies. It's come to this. There's nothing more to say. Let's just leave it. Don't bother me again. You truly disgust me. Sophia looked up, her eyes filled with utter despair. A piercing wail escaped her as she clutched to my legs. Don't go. Ethan, I'm begging you, it's all my fault. I was out of my mind. Hit me. Take out your anger on me, please. Just forgive me this one time. I really can't live without you. I sneered, gripping her chin and raised my hand, slapping her hard across the face. That's for Amy, Sophia, you've been a selfish person from start to finish when I was good to you. You didn't cherish it and fooled around with other men. Amy is just my assistant. Nothing happened between us. You couldn't even stand seeing her next to me. So, when you were sleeping with Kevin, did you ever for a single moment consider how heartbroken I would be? Even now, after all this, you're still only thinking about yourself. You riot-tainted woman. Yet you still delusion. I think you can hijack my entire life. Disgust me. For the rest of my years. You want me to forgive you? Do you even deserve it? Cheat on me once and we're done for good, even if you broke up with Kevin. Who knows whose bed you'd crawl into next? Some Tom, Dick, or Harry. Do you want me to spend the rest of my life in suspicion and torment? Sophia, the biggest regret of my life is saving you. Back then you should have died that year. Then you wouldn't be around to ruin other people's lives. The light in Sophia's eyes gradually dimmed, her grip on my legs loosened, and she slumped to the floor like a soulless rag doll, staring blankly as I walked away. Not long after I left, Kevin Asher rushed frantically to find Sophia. Sophia. Quick, help me. The project, there's a problem. You told me to cozy up to Ethan's old investors and contacts to completely take over his network. Someone filmed me taking bribes, and now they're gonna call the cops on me. This was all your idea. You can't just leave me hanging. Sophia slowly came to, looking at Kevin's panicked face. Suddenly, she laughed. To think she had for this worthless piece of trash completely shattered the heart of the man who truly loved her. All for a fleeting desire. Now everything was over. Sophia. What's wrong with you? Don't bail on me now. Quickly, think of a way to fix this. It's all your fault. Sophia shrieked. If you hadn't seduced me, how could I have gone so wrong again and again? Hurting Ethan, making him stop loving me. How could I have fallen for a useless loser like you? Ignoring Kevin's screams and pleas for mercy, she vented all her inner fury, stabbing him again and again. When the police arrived to arrest her, she was still staring at her blood-soaked hands, letting out an eerie, chilling laugh. If you die, I'll be clean. Ethan'll forgive me. He'll come back to me. We're getting married soon. I'm gonna be a bride. And then I'll have his adorable babies. The police snapped cold handcuffs on her wrists. She struggled desperately, but it was no use. Let me go. Why do you have to arrest me? I need to find Ethan. He's my husband. I returned to the hospital and picked up Amy Sweetwater. Fortunately, the doctor said her wounds were superficial and wouldn't scar. If cared for properly, we rebooked our flight and flew to the United States. On the way to the airport, a news report came on the car radio. A violent crime occurred in the Willow Creek Estates on the east side of town. The deceased is a young man surnamed Asher. The suspect is a young woman, apparently suffering from mental breakdown. The motive is currently under investigation. Amy stared at me, shocked, stammering in fear. Mr. Miller, isn't that where your old house is? Could the two people they're talking about be? I silently turned off the news report, offering no answer. Things escalating to this point was not what I had wished for. But they had brought it all upon themselves. It had nothing to do with me. You reap what you sow. I successfully started my new job in Emerita. The firm was very supportive of my proposal to invest in the companion robot project. They believe that people are increasingly willing to pay for emotional value and that this market had huge potential 3 years later. The product I invested in finally launched. These robots could not only have their appearance custom designed according to client requirements, but their programming could also be infused with digitized content such as videos, voice recordings, photos, and text messages. In essence, these robots allowed deceased loved ones to be reborn in another form to continue accompanying their clients. Many people struggling in the shadows of grief rushed to purchase them. Several customers even managed to find my contact information and sent numerous emails, expressing their gratitude. If it weren't for these robots, they said, they might have chosen to end their lives through extreme measures, worn down by day after day of psychological torment. Closing my laptop, I gazed out at the lush green lawn beyond my window and smiled faintly.